I continue. Mom was pleased at this, and Dad said it was a first-class start. So her father accepts the position of her job, and he also accepts that his daughter has found a very, very good job at the start. As it was an old established firm, so we can get some information about the solicitor's office. It is an old established firm, so it must have come from the past with a good name as well. I must say that when I went for the interview, I was surprised at the windows, and the stairs up to the offices were also far from clean, so clean, or whatever you understand from far from clean. I just give you this hint, far from clean. Is it clean or unclean? Just imagine. There was a little waiting room where some of the elements were missing from the gas fire, and the carpet on the floor was worn, very old. However, now we come across with a new name, character's name, Haygate's office. Mr. Haygate is the owner of the office, into which I was shown for the interview, was better. The furniture was old, but it was polished, and there was a good carpet, I will say. The glass of the bookcase was very clean. So in this sense, our main character is making a comparison. I was to start on the Monday, so she was accepted for the job. So along I went. They took me to the general office where there were two senior shorthand typists and a clerk. Mr. Grisham, who was far from smart in appearance, just pay attention those explanations, far from smart in appearance. Was he so handsome, so smart or not? Just tell me later on. You should have seen the mess. Now, the title is given here. There was no floor covering whatsoever, and so dusty everywhere. There were shelves all around the room with old box files on them. The box files were falling to pieces, and all the old papers inside them were crumpled. The worst shock of all was the teacups. So she's an eyewitness, just watching what comes to her eyes. A keen observer in a way, in this sense. The box files were falling to pieces, and all the old papers inside them were crumpled, as we said. And the worst shock for her was the teacups. It was my duty to make tea, so she is told what she should do at her job, at her daily activities. First, it is her duty to make tea, mornings and afternoons. Twice a day, she will make tea for the staff as well. Miss Bewley, another character, showed me where everything was kept. So Miss Bewley helped her where the things are kept. It was kept in an old orange box, and the cups were all cracked, so old. There were not enough saucers to go round, etc. I will not go into the facilities, but they were also far from hygienic. What she saw during her education in a better hygienic position I am talking, situation I am talking. And now at work, what she sees now. And she doesn't go into the facilities. They were also far from hygienic. After 3 days, I told mom, and she was upset. She told what she had seen at her job office about those things. And her mother was upset. Most of all about the cracked cups. We never keep a cracked cup, but throw it out, leave it, put into the dustbin. Because those cracks can harbor germs, contain germs. So mom gave me my own cup to take to the office. So those cups with saucers as well are not in a good condition. That's why her mother gives her her own cup to take it to the office and drink her teas. Then at the end of the week, when I got my salary, Mr. Haygate said, "Well, Lorna, what are you going to do with your first pay?" I didn't like him saying this. This is a silly question, I believe. It is none of anyone's. And I nearly passed a comment, but I said, "I don't know." He said, "What do you do in the evenings, Lorna? Do you watch television?" I did take this as an insult, because we call it TV. Just remember again, in the first beginning of the short story, I thought that she liked literate people, educated people. So, Mr. Haygate's speaking in such a way, instead of saying television, he says telly, makes Lorna that he is not an extraordinary person, just an ordinary, maybe just an average person. Do you watch telly? I did take this as an insult because we call it TV. And his remark made me out to be uneducated. I just stood and didn't answer, and he looked surprised. Next day, Saturday, I told mom and dad about the facilities, and we decided I should not go back to that job. Also, the desks in the general office were rickety. Dad was indignant because Mr. Haygate's concern was flourishing, and he had letters after his name. Everyone admires our flat because mom keeps it spotless, so clean, hygienic in a way, and dad keeps doing things to it. He has done it up all over and got permission from the council, belediye olarak alın, to remodernize the kitchen. I well recall the health visitor remarking to mom, "You could eat off your floor, Mrs. Merrifield, so we can get the surname of that family as well. Merrifield. It's true that you could eat your lunch off mom's floors, and any hour of the day or night you will find every corner spick and span." Next, I was sent by the agency to a publisher's for an interview. So Lorna quits her first job, solicitor's office, and then she goes to find another job, and this time it is a publisher's. She goes for an interview because of being good at English. One look was enough. Yani bir bakış yeterli oluyor diyor, bakın. The first impression is important in this sense. My next interview was a success, and I am still at Lowe's Chemical Company. It is a modern block with a quarter of an hour rest period, morning and afternoon. So there are some breaks as well. Mr. Marwood, another character, is very smart in appearance. So the first impression for Lorna is so positive when she showed Mr. Marwood. He is well spoken, although he has not got a university education behind him. So, Mr. Marwood is a half-educated person, character, boss, but his appearance, maybe his talks to Lorna, made Lorna think that he is a very smart person. There is special lighting over the desks, and the typewriters are the latest models. So I am happy at Lowe's, but I have met other people of an educated type in the past year, and it has opened my eyes, broadened her mind in a way. It so happened that I had to go to the doctor's house to fetch a prescription for my young brother, Trevor. So in this short story, when you read it, ki okumak zorundasınız, onu da söyleyeyim hazırlıklı olmanız için. There are more characters now. The names of the characters are more now. So she went to a doctor to fetch a prescription for her young brother, Trevor. When the epidemic was on, I rang the bell and Mrs. Darby came to the door. She was small, with a fair hair, but too long, and a green maternity dress, but she was very nice to me. I had to wait in their living room, and you should have seen the state it was in. Now, she is also making again comparisons with what she saw in the past and now what she sees now. There were broken toys on the carpet, and the ashtrays were all full. There were contemporary pictures on the walls, but the furniture was not contemporary, but old-fashioned, with covers which were past standing up to another wash. I should say, to cut a long story short, bu çok kullanılan bir tabir kardeşlerim. Briefly, in brief, shortly veya bunun yerine to cut a long story short, belki geçen seneki metin inceleme dersimde sizlere söylemiş olabilirim. Bunlardan herhangi bir tanesini kullanabilirsiniz. To cut a long story short, lafın kısası anlamında. Dr. Darby and Mrs. Darby have always been very kind to me, and they meant everything for the best. So, in Laura's mind, Dr. Darby and his wife are very nice and are very kind people to Lorna. Dr. Darby is also short and fair, and they have 3 children, a girl and a boy, and now a baby boy.